Yeah. So from what you've been hearing somewhat recently, do you think it's more likely he gets drafted in the top 5, or he falls out of the top 10? What do you think
Okay,
he? Yeah.
yeah. So I think everyone probably believes, and it's been like this for a while, but it's gained more steam, at least in the media, that Ward will go 1. Obviously, Hunter's been attached to Cleveland at 2, but I wouldn't say that's a lock.
Okay.
Mhm.
Carter, I think, if you believe there's 3 true generational type players or 3 true great players, whatever, Carter will be the other one, right?
Okay.
So then the draft in many ways starts then after the Giants pick, or when the Giants pick, you could say. But let's say hypothetically that Sanders doesn't go in the top 3. The next logical spot is New Orleans at 9, because there's no question that the Saints want to find another quarterback. It's not going to be Derek Carr after this season. So basically what it comes down to is if Sanders is there at 9, and I'm not saying he will be, but if he is, does New Orleans feel like he's their guy, like he has enough value? Because the reason I bring that up is because they're not a quarterback away. The roster's not good. And they obviously have a new head coach in Kellen Moore. In theory, if you're Kellen Moore, you'd want to attach yourself to a young quarterback who you can build and mold around. And I don't know if he believes that Sanders is the guy, but if I were him, I would take a really long look, and I think they are, at Shedeur Sanders. And then, obviously, if you go from 10 to 20, none of those teams really need a quarterback. The next team is Pittsburgh at 21. He will be visiting them on Thursday, and that's going to be, I think, one of the teams certainly that we have to pay attention to, not just for Shedeur, but in general for a quarterback. Because I put it out a few minutes ago that he's going to visit, and already people are asking, does that mean they love him? I don't know if they love him. I know they're doing their homework on a guy who may or may not be available, but Aaron Rodgers, there's so much that we can assume or not assume with Rodgers, but if he ends up being the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh, let's say they sign him, that doesn't, to me, have any effect on whether or not they would want to draft Shedeur 21. The only thing for them is that if they feel like they're an Aaron Rodgers away, then that's, to me, 100% worth going and getting him. They obviously do not have a starting quarterback right now with respect to Mason Rudolph, and they signed Skylar Thompson. They're going to take at least one quarterback, or going to go out and get at least one more quarterback, maybe 2. So Sanders could be it at 21. To go back to your question, would he be available? It's too early. I think in another week or 2 weeks, we'll have a better sense of that. But I'm just not there yet with being able to say confidently if he'll be a top 5 or top 10 pick.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, what in your estimation is the reason for Shedeur now not being a top 5 pick, or at least we don't know, but why the fall, why or the supposed fall? We don't know.
I think well, there's a lot of ways to answer that. For one, I think Jackson Dart has come up, which should not be a surprise. Right. And I believe that there's a real shot we're going to see 3 quarterbacks in the first round. Obviously, Ward and Sanders and Dart. Milroe's a wild card, and then Tyler Shuck is at Louisville is really your true 6'5", strong-armed, not super mobile, but really gifted passer. He's got a lot of ability, and there are teams that really like him. But to answer your question about Shedeur, if you go back, and I'm not a quarterback guru, but if you go back and you think about his career at Jackson State in Colorado, he never had a great offensive line. His game is a pocket game. He's not a scrambler. You think about Dion and Flash. Shedeur is a true pocket guy. He's a good athlete, but he's not one of these, like Cam Ward is a great athlete. He can really manipulate the pocket and move it. Shedeur can do a little bit of that, but he wants to stay in the pocket 1, 2, 3. That's his game. And so I think had he had a really good offensive line, or even an adequate one, especially early on in his career. Maybe we'd be talking about him more definitively higher. But I also think that Dart coming up has probably impacted him. And it's also one of these drafts where you have several position groups that are super elite. And I don't know if that's mattered, but it's worth mentioning. I mean, the tight ends, the running backs, I'd say those are the top two position groups. Right. And as a result, I think you could see potentially 3 tight ends in the first round. And you could even see 2 or 3 running backs in the first round with Hampton, Genty, maybe Henderson. Judkins should go in the top 50. It's just it's a different type of draft. And this is not the quarterback draft that we had last year, where you had obviously Daniels and Nix and Williams and Penix and McCarthy, and it was just a totally different draft.